The human body is a radiant machine. Our life systems is the aftereffect of centuries of adjustment to the changing condition of Earth, which has transformed us into one of the most perplexing living things. And keeping in mind that progresses in medication over the previous hundreds of years have permitted us to investigate the idea of the human living being in detail, we discover constantly new parts and procedures inside our bodies. A portion of those constituents, in addition, could never have been thought to exist in past occasions. From unstable components to astronomical stuff, here you will be given the absolute weirdest, generally astonishing and to a great extent obscure things that make up your body. 10. Alcohol. Mixed refreshments are among the most devoured drinks on the planet. Such is the situation that as of now, around 36 billion liters (9.5 billion gallons) of liquor are expended each year around the globe, enough to fill in excess of 14,000 Olympic pools. So plainly liquor and people are firmly connected to one another. Actually, they appear to be connected to the point that the human body delivers its own liquor consistently. Ethanol is a normally happening kind of liquor, made after aging of natural materials, and is the liquor present in mixed refreshments. In the human body, bacterial populaces in the mouth and digestion tracts are equipped for delivering ethanol endogenously. To do that, microscopic organisms and yeast cause the maturation of starches, for example, sugar in the gastrointestinal tract. This procedure produces modest quantities of ethanol, which is hence brought into the circulation system. As indicated by various investigations, a solid, and calm, individual for the most part has down to 0.8 mg of endogenous ethanol per liter, 0.26 gallons of blood. Methanol, another kind of liquor, has likewise been distinguished in human blood in convergences of 0.6 mg per liter. Luckily, these qualities are too little to even think about being effectively identified in the blood and cause lawful issues to the individual. Be that as it may, a few people don't have it that simple, particularly those experiencing conditions, for example, the alleged autodistillery disorder (ABS). Under such conditions, a person's stomach-related framework is overpopulated with aging, creating microscopic organisms and growths, which can make immense measures of liquor from sugar-rich nourishments. Individuals with ABS can have multiple grams (0.14 ounces) of liquor per liter of blood, to the point of continually being smashed without drinking any mixed refreshment. 9. Ozone. Ozone is a flimsy substance. Being made out of 3 oxygen iotas, ozone will in general crumble into less difficult atoms in minutes. Hence, the ozone gas in the environment must be consistently renewed and would diminish until nearly vanishing in the event that it was not for certain ozone-creating sources. Bright radiation, tempests, and human exercises produce a greater part of the ozone present on Earth. Be that as it may, your body likewise adds to it. Almost 2 decades prior, researchers found that the human body's insusceptible framework produces ozone as an approach to battle organic dangers. Our bodies contain a kind of cells called neutrophils, white platelets covered with antibodies, which venture out through the body to dispose of irresistible microorganisms and parasites. To carry out their responsibility, neutrophils feed their antibodies with high-vitality oxygen particles. The antibodies at that point change such atoms into ozone, which is valuable for dispensing with obtrusive microscopic organisms. Neutrophils immerse the outside microorganisms and shell them with the recently made ozone atoms to obliterate them. Since right around 75% of our body's white platelets are neutrophils, the measure of subatomic ozone delivered in every individual is sufficiently noteworthy. In any case, this is certifiably not something worth being thankful for. Ozone in huge focuses is destructive. At 25 kilometers (15.5 miles) above Earth, ozone makes a gas layer that shields Earth's life from sun-based radiation. In any case, close to the ground, ozone adds to air contamination, being one of the fundamental parts of the supposed brown haze. Furthermore, in the human body, ozone separates cholesterol, making harmful particles that quicken the advancement of illnesses, for example, atherosclerosis and joint inflammation. 8. Cyanide. For people, cyanide is an amazingly harmful concoction compound. It kills in a brief timeframe by forestalling cell breath in the living being. Cyanide's lethality is more than demonstrated. It has been utilized as a concoction weapon to slaughter endless individuals throughout the hundreds of years. Consequently, it is amazing to realize that cyanide exists normally inside the human body itself. Different groupings of cyanide enter our bodies each day since the substance is available noticeable all around, water, and food we eat. Actually, nourishments, for example, apples and spinach are transporters of cyanide. Be that as it may, there is no compelling reason to freeze, such focuses are amazingly little, in the request for a couple of micrograms for each plant. For the record, a microgram rises to 1/1,000,000th of a gram. Conversely, an admission of 0.1 grams of cyanide is important to execute a 70 kg (154 pound) normal individual. Cyanide is likewise delivered by our bodies. For instance, synthetic procedures in salivation lead to the making of cyanide gas inside our throats, which is then ousted by relaxing. It is evaluated that, at some random time, a sound individual can contain up to 50 micrograms of cyanide for every 100 grams (3.5 ounces) of tissue. Be that as it may, such a compound doesn't gather inside our bodies. Its greater part is handled in the liver and discharged in the pee. Another part is changed over into carbon dioxide by our lungs, and like the previously mentioned cyanide gas, it is discharged with every breath. The procedures behind the assimilation, creation, and detoxification of cyanide in the human life form are very mind-boggling. So we should thank our bodies for quietly liberating ourselves from such a deadly toxic substance. 7. Radioactive elements. Any sort of radiation in extreme sums is unsafe to people. For instance, regardless of whether bright radiation isn't attempting to consume our skin, the foundation radiation discovered wherever will push us to get malignancy at any rate. Be that as it may, did you realize that some radioactive materials likewise occupy our inside? A radioactive component discovered inside our bodies is thorium, an overwhelming metal utilized in electronic gadgets. While we ingest modest quantities of thorium every day through food and water, it typically leaves the life form very quickly. One more of the most scandalous substances we convey is uranium. It is a substantial, profoundly radioactive component that exists normally over the whole planet. Its greatest uses, as you may know, have been in atomic reactors and weapons of mass devastation. Studies show that a normal grown-up individual contains 22 micrograms of uranium in their body, and can ingest around 5 micrograms day by day. The greatest wellsprings of uranium admission are food, particularly unwashed vegetables, and water. Once inside the body, uranium can enter the circulation system and store in different organs, remaining there for a couple of months until being ousted from the body. 66% of the uranium expended is kept in our bones. We ought to likewise make reference to potassium-40, a radioactive isotope of the potassium component that we ingest through numerous nourishments, however, which is helpful for the human body by and by. As should be obvious, we are entirely radioactive. In any case, don't be frightened, it is impossible that you will trigger an atomic blast just by wheezing. 6. Precious metals. Not everything in your body must be hazardous or radioactive, however. There are additionally valuable components inside you that make you financially important naturally. All things considered, it isn't prudent that you attempt to get them out of your body to sell them. To begin with, we have gold. The greater part of the gold in a normal individual is in their blood, with gold representing 0.02% of it. Altogether, the human body contains 0.2 milligrams of gold, enough to make a 3D shape of unadulterated gold with a size of 0.22 millimeters (0.008 inches). We likewise contain silver, another valuable metal of low poisonousness for individuals. A normal individual devours up to 88 micrograms of silver a day, a weight equal to that of a couple of sand grains. However, that is too little to ever be significant, correct? All things considered, specialists have discovered that human dung likewise contains gold particles and other costly metals. 1 kilogram (2.2 pounds) of human waste could contain a limit of 4 grams (0.14 ounces) of copper, silver, vanadium, and gold. Taking into account this, it has been evaluated that the misuse of 1 million individuals could be worth $13 million. So even while you didn't have any acquaintance with it, your body has continually been a lucrative machine. The issue, obviously, is to mine your own valuable metals to make a benefit from them, since you may need to depend on some awful strategies to separate them. 5. Hard drugs. It is notable that the human body creates its own forms of some normally utilized medications. For instance, our bodies produce endocannabinoids, particles like the synthetic compounds found in weed. Our minds additionally produce substance mixes called endorphins, which cause a similar torment-slaughtering impact as morphine. However, the human life form can normally create different medications that, in enormous enough sums, would be perilous and absolutely unlawful. One such medication is called dimethyltryptamine, or DMT. This medication is normally extricated from certain South American plants and can be smashed, smoked, or infused. DMT produces genuine psychedelic impacts, with clients professing to have ventured out to different universes or met divine creatures in the wake of ingesting the medication. Nonetheless, there is proof that the human mind consistently delivers limited quantities of DMT. It is accepted that the medication could be discharged in the body during profound rest or in brushes with death. Another human-created sedate is a substance known as GHB, some of the time called liquid ecstasy. This substance has exceptionally different utilizations. Weightlifters ingest it to pick up muscle, while specialists recommend it to treat rest issues. In any case, GHB can turn out to be exceptionally risky in the event that it isn't utilized accurately. Among different cases, ingesting GHB alongside liquor can murder an individual or leave them in a state of unconsciousness. That is the reason it is astonishing to realize that our bodies contain the medication normally, despite the fact that in microscopic and non-hurtful sums. GHB is found in numerous tissues of the body, in the blood, and furthermore in the cerebrum, in centralizations of up to 1 mg for every liter. It is helpful to caution that both DMT and GHB are illicit medications and their utilization is restricted in numerous nations. So be mindful when telling somebody that you make those substances, regardless of whether it is valid. 4. Magnetic fields. The attraction is fundamental for the progression of life. The attractive impact of the sun, for instance, shields our planet from grandiose radiation. Also, without the Earth's attractive field, sun-based radiation would pulverize our air and slaughter us like ants under an amplifying glass. In any case, attractive powers are not restricted uniquely to divine bodies. Living things likewise create their own attraction, and we are no exception. Electric flows produce attraction, so every article that has electric flows streaming inside additionally has an attractive field. What's more, since people run on power traveling through our sensory system, the last is the one that produces attractive fields inside and around our bodies. Every one of our organs works with a particular measure of power, so each piece of the body has its own attractive field. It is evaluated that the quality of the attractive field on the human body's surface is 1/10,000,000th of the quality of the Earth's attractive field. The attractive field of the cerebrum, in the meantime, is around 200 million times more fragile than that of our planet. Despite what might be expected, the champ among the most attractive organs is the heart. It has an attractive field only 1,000,000 times littler than the attractive power of the Earth. The heart's attractive field is solid to such an extent that it stretches out outside the body, and is accepted to influence certain organic processes. As you can see, the attractive powers of the human body are extremely little. However, that has not prevented a few people from guaranteeing that they are attractive enough to draw in metal. What advantages can adhere spoons to the body, then again, isn't something notable. 3. Stardust. This point is considerably more exhaustive than the rest, on the grounds that in addition to the fact that we have stardust in our bodies, yet we are really made of it. The possibility that people are made out of heavenly materials has been around throughout recent decades, yet as of late we could demonstrate that it is a reality. At the start of the universe, there were just fundamental components, for example, hydrogen and helium. At the point when these synthetic concoctions amassed together to frame the primary stars, heavier and increasingly complex components started to be delivered inside those bodies. Such components were carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, phosphorus, iron, and sulfur. These components, thusly, make up individuals nearly entirely. How did these components get the opportunity to Earth? At the point when stars arrive at the finish of their lives, they normally detonate, launching their external layers with a lot of various components. In the wake of voyaging significant stretches for quite a while, the remaining parts of these detonating stars tumble to the Earth's surface, where they blend in with the remainder of the ground. At that point, vegetation ingests such components scattered in the dirt, and we do likewise by eating those plants. Over the years, the materials framed inside the stars become some portion of our bodies, which are re-established with such components constantly. 2 years prior, scientists found that 97% of the iotas in the human body are of indistinguishable sorts from those found in stars. In addition, 93% of the weight is accepted to be stardust. 2. Light. It has been known for quite a while that the human body emanates light radiation. To give a model, the warmth of our bodies produces infrared light, a kind of electromagnetic radiation that people can't see, albeit different creatures can. Presently, with regards to transmitting noticeable light, one may believe that such a thing is inconceivable for us. Like practically all issues known to man, we reflect light, yet we don't produce it, correct? All things considered, that isn't completely true. In 2009, a researcher from the Tohoku Institute of Technology, Japan, named Masaki Kobayashi chose to explore human bioluminescence, our capacity to emanate light. To do that, he enrolled 5 people and shot their stripped bodies for 20 minutes like clockwork, for 3 days. The photos were taken with cameras amazingly touchy to light. The outcomes demonstrated that specific segments of the people, for example, their necks and heads transmitted light continually, arriving at the greatest splendor around 4 in the afternoon. This is most likely a result of our organic clock, because of which we burn through more effort during the late evening. Researchers accept that our bioluminescence is created by little atoms called fluorophores, which radiate photons in the wake of connecting with electrons discharged by cell respiration. But on the off chance that we produce light, for what reason don't we gleam as though we were spotlights with eyes? The appropriate response is entirely unexpected. The noticeable light we produce is unreasonably frail for us to see. Indeed, such light is 1,000 times less exceptional than what our eyes are adjusted to recognize. Be that as it may, there it is, coming out from us consistently. So in addition to the fact that you are made of stardust, however, you likewise sparkle like a star. All things considered, perhaps not really. 1. Antimatter. Matter and antimatter despise one another. At the point when these two substances impact, they commonly demolish, abandoning just vitality. Be that as it may, regardless of how unpredictable antimatter is in our universe, we have a touch of it inside us, all the time. To see how this is conceivable, we have to bring back potassium-40, which we recently said exists in the human body. As effectively expressed, potassium-40 is one of the radioactive isotopes or variations of potassium, a delicate metal. Such isotope rots, that is, it changes into another component after its particles lose vitality. To do that, potassium-40 can be changed into calcium-40, through a procedure called beta short decay. During this procedure, a potassium-40 molecule loses a few particles and produces others, including an antimatter molecule, called an antineutrino. What's more, this is the place the math starts. It is evaluated that 5,000 potassium-40 particles rot for each second in the human body. Around 89.25% of these molecules experience beta-less rot. Hence, at any rate, 16 million antineutrinos are created in our bodies each hour. Meanwhile, potassium-40 can likewise be changed into the isotope argon-40. This happens when every one of the potassium-40 iotas discharges a positron, the antimatter adaptation of the electron. Notwithstanding, this procedure is extremely uncommon, occurring in 0.001% of cases. However, all things being equal, considering the potassium-40 molecules that rot for each second, that implies the human body creates around 180 positrons for every hour. And this is the consequence of only one radioactive isotope changing inside the body. In any case, we additionally have different components that rot in similar manners, creating their own antiparticles at each second. In this way, congrats, you are adding an antimatter reactor. We're at the end of this video. If you like the video, don't forget to comment, like the video and subscribe to the channel.